What's up, everybody? Welcome to Fantasy Sports Now. Today I want to go over with you the all-time top 10 hitters from the year 2000 going forward. This is really only applies to points leagues, which I'll show you the scoring system in just a second. Initially, I went out to Fangraphs and pulled everybody, and maybe we'll do a list of everybody of all time, but that list was insane. So I picked the year 2000 and we're going to go forward. So if you like what you see, give me a sub, a like, a comment, let's talk about it. This is fun for me and I hope it's fun for you. So I'm a guy that likes to jump right into the content, as you guys probably know, so let's do that. So here's the Excel, boring display potentially, but this is the easiest way to show it to you guys. So the first thing I have to show you is the point system. I don't know if this is standard across the board, but this is the one that we've always used for our league, and it doesn't really change too much, I'm sure, from league to league, but this is how I'm deriving these points here when we get to the list here. You get a single point for a single, you get 2 for the double, 3 for a triple, 4 for a home run, 1 for an RBI, 1 for a run, 1 for a walk, 1 for a hit by pitch, and 2 for stolen base. I think most points leagues follow this. The only one I think that might be different is the stolen base is down to 1 in a lot of leagues, but you'll probably see that that didn't end up making a big difference on this top 10 list. And to give you kind of a point of reference, I wanted to show you 2019, the last kind of full season that we actually had. Some things to keep in mind mostly is the total amount of points that they scored. So Cody Bellinger had the most points in that year based on this scoring system at 715. Also, as other things to keep in mind, look at the runs and RBI totals. Nothing really in the 130s or the 140s. The home runs were pretty modest in 2019 for the most part, even though the balls were juiced supposedly in 2019. We only had 53 home runs, 47 up here. So keep that all in mind. And the other thing that's going to be interesting when we get to this top 10 greatest all-time points getters, steroid era is included, and I think you're going to see that quite often. It's going to be a trend. It's kind of hard to get the list of the non-users, and you don't really know who was using, and so I wanted the most egregious, crazy amount of points possible here. So that's the totals that we had. Mike Trout 665, so just keep that in mind. So let's get into our list. At number 10, of course, is our main man Barry Bonds here. So this year was very interesting, and I try to highlight some of the things that I thought were kind of crazy or kind of cool. He only played 147 games. Obviously, there's 162, so he was rather hurt. I can't remember if he was hurt or if he just didn't play that many games. Look at these at-bats. That's so small, but the reason is this was that massive walk year where they had figured out in 2001 that, what the best strategy is to just walk the guy. Screw it. Look at this, how many intentional walks he had, 120. He had more intentional walks almost than total hits. So, that's absolutely insane. So, given this walk total and the fact that he still hit 45 home runs in that little few games, he had 786 points. So, that's not a crazy amount more than the top leading scorer in 2019. But that comes in at number 10. Let's keep going here. Jeff Bagwell in 2000. A lot of people remember Bagwell for getting beaned. He didn't get hit that many times this year. But some things that were really interesting, a lot more plate appearances and at-bats. Pretty good across the board. A ton of dongs this year, but the run total and the RBI total were just massive, especially when you compare it to 2019. Only outscored Barry Bonds by a single point, but that amount of runs is absolutely unheard of. You don't see that anymore in this league anymore. Number 8 was Alex Rodriguez, right in the middle of that steroid era. That 2001, which you'll see as this list goes on, was absolutely insane. He hit 52 home runs, and I think he was 3rd or 4th overall on the list in 2001, which is just silly. That's stupid. Pete Alonso had the most, obviously, at 53. Some things to point out for this season for A-Rod, he had a lot more at-bats, a lot more plate appearances, but he had a lot of hits. So this season, he just did everything. And he did everything pretty well. He even stole 18 bases. We don't think of A-Rod as a base stealer, but in his younger days, kind of like Barry Bonds, they used to steal bases. So it's interesting to see how spread out his points were this year. And he only had 1 extra point again, so it's not too far yet. Probably the only non-known, well, not non-known, but the only non-steroid user on this list. Some of the other guys questionable, right? But it was just during that era. So I'll say Pujols was the only guy to not be in that exact era to put up massive points. And again, we're only one away. Look at how close these points totals are. Nothing actually highlighted that was like a crazy standout from this season, but he just did everything excellent. Lots of hits, lots of doubles, more than anybody else here. Home runs, it's just across the board. He even stole, again, 16 bases. Nobody has ever thought of Albert Pujols as a base stealer, and yet there you go. So we're still not into the crazy amounts of points, but we are getting there. Todd Helton comes in, and again, look at the year, look at the season, 2000, 2001. We're going to see a lot of 2001 in here. Good amount of hits here, a ton of doubles, and everybody in this list is hitting home runs. So if you're in a points league, I think that this is kind of going to help you realize how important home runs are, because the top go-getters always seem to be the home run guys. 146 RBI in one season. Let's look down here. Nobody was even close. Not even close. They're all 30. I mean, this was the highest here. They're all 30 away from Todd Helton's season that year. So that's pretty amazing. And guess what? Another 2001. Luis Gonzalez had such a strange year because I feel like everybody forgot that he hit 57 home runs because Barry Bonds was off and Sammy Sosa were going crazy that year. And A-Rod also hit 52. Everybody hit like 50 or 40 home runs that year. So everybody forgets that he actually hit 57 home runs. Again, steroids help hit home runs, obviously, but again, with the crazy RBI, and already we're starting to get into this 805. That is almost 100 points better than the best player in 2019. So we're starting to get up there, and it will keep going. Todd Helton again, once again, year 2000. Very interesting. This was a great across-the-board season. As you can see right through here, it's just everything is elevated from everything down here, every single player. So, and we're starting to climb up again. This was, back-to-back seasons. Todd Helton was absolutely fantastic. And again, here we go. Back to A-Rod. And this one was a little later. It's kind of after the steroid, but he may have still been using. Look right here. Once again, 156 RBI. At that point, you're almost like, you're not quite adding two together, but, I mean, you're taking guys that were probably in the top 15 and adding their RBI together to get what he did. And 143 runs, plus the 24 stolen bases. This guy was good across the board, and 839 at this point. You're well over 100 of the leader. But we're not done yet, because we got some guys from the 2001 season still yet to come. Sammy Sosa, I was just talking about how good A-Rod's year was. Sosa did better in every category down here, which is absolutely unheard of. Obviously a steroid guy, but he's second all-time in points from 2000 forward. And number one, of course, I think we all knew where this was going to head, was another 2001 Barry Bonds. This time around, this is insane, okay? Obviously he was trying to hit home runs because he hit more home runs than he had singles. That's just stupid. That's never heard of, ever. I mean, look how far away these guys are, and this wasn't even close. He had 25, 20 plus more home runs than actual singles. Nobody's even close to that. That's just stupid. So obviously hitting that many home runs and having that many walks all in the same season, he didn't even have that many, RBI and run compared to these guys above him. And yet he had 889 points. This is like the equivalent of having two pretty decent starting players today. Once you get out of the top 10 in 2019, you're starting to get guys that are scoring around 500, 480 points, and if you combine them, you would have what Barry Bonds did that year. So it's very, very interesting doing this top 10 list from 2000 forward, is because we see the seasons, and you can see the clear steroid usage. And this season was just, obviously it was fun to watch for baseball, but at the end, it was all steroid induced, which leave your opinion on what you think about that. I'm not going to go into if I think they should go in the Hall of Fame or not, but this is the top 10 list of points getters over the last 20 years. So hope you enjoyed. We'll probably do another one for pitching. Maybe I will do the top 10 all time. You'll probably see a lot of Babe Ruths on there and names of people that you've never heard of. I saw one player had 98 steals in like the 1800s. So when you have 98 steals and they're 2 points a pop, you're gonna have a lot of points. So maybe I'll do that list if this gets some good love, and we'll see you guys next time.